Welcome back to this mini review series leading up to the release of Unplanned. This is the last one before I review that movie. Today I'm talking about a little independent film from John and Andrew Erwin, who are most famous for I Can Only Imagine, which was one of the most surprising box office hits of last year. Though before that, they also directed Woodlawn and Mom's Night Out, two movies that I hated. Funny enough, as of yet, their very first feature-length film is their best. That is October Baby. Released in 2012, this movie made an impressive $5.3 million while opening to a mere 14 theaters nationwide. It's about a 19-year-old named Hannah who is very insecure about herself. She questions her worthiness of life and has even contemplated suicide. To make matters worse, her parents reveal to her that they adopted her when she was a baby because she was the victim of a failed abortion attempt. Determined to get answers as to who she really is, Hannah makes up her mind to go find her biological mother. Fortunately, a childhood friend of hers named Jason hasn't yet decided with his friends where they want a vacation to for spring break, so they decide to accommodate her and go visit the area in Mobile, Alabama, where she was born. When the Erwin brothers were promoting this movie, they credited Alex and Stephen Kendrick as their directing inspiration. I find it odd, then, that October Baby, while not fantastic, is well above the standards that the Kendrick brothers had set for Christian films. Their movies, particularly War Room, were just too overcome with preachiness for anyone to care about, other than those who simply went in for the biblical message. October Baby is not like that. It tells a personal story of someone trying to find herself, and a very touching one at that. Taking some inspiration from the accounts of abortion survivors like Gianna Jessen, Claire Colwell, and others. And it benefits from plugging in its themes to distinguishable film genres. It's a coming-of-age drama, as well as a road trip movie, a genre that I have a soft spot for. Lead actress Rachel Hendricks is excellent as Hannah. She's mostly only had some minor roles in other feature films, including an extra in the third Divergent movie, and I would really like to see her land more starring roles. Most of the other actors are fine, but the honors without a doubt go to Jasmine Guy, who plays a former nurse at the clinic Hannah's mother went to. When she tells Hannah about her experience witnessing the abortion procedure failing, it is one of the greatest performances I've seen in any of these independent Christian movies. Providing some comic relief is the driver on the road trip who calls himself B-Mac. While his humor is sometimes sitcom level, for the most part he's a hoot. He's played by American Idol finalist Chris Sly, who also has a few original songs featured on the soundtrack, including the song Broken Beautiful, a heartbreaking track fit for closing the movie. The cinematography is adequate. When it's a shot that takes place outside, it looks nice, but when it's indoors for whatever reason, it looks just one or two notches above the quality of a Hallmark movie. To go over some of the prominent flaws with this movie, most of them are in the section of the runtime between when the kids leave and when they get to Mobile, Alabama. One is when they get there, they find that the hospital Hannah was born at was closed down. Desperate to find information, though, Hannah decides to break in. What's that going to prove? How are you going to find anything in a hospital that's abandoned? The thing that's always bugged me about this movie ever since I saw it back in 2012 is the character of Alana, Jason's current girlfriend who joins the trip. She's just a one-dimensional bully who's inexplicably mean to Hannah. The only motivation behind her unkindness I can think of is that she may know that Hannah also likes Jason, that's all. What makes it worse is that there was a deleted scene that does give more depth to Alana's character. She explains to Hannah that she had an ex-boyfriend who bribed her into getting an abortion, and she's tried to escape the guilt she's always felt after having it. She goes on to confess to Hannah that being around her just made her hate herself even more. Why wasn't that in the final cut of the movie? It would have fixed my number one problem with it. I really think they should have kept it in. In terms of its subject matter, the thing that makes October Baby a far better pro-life movie than something like Voiceless is that instead of some guy repeatedly saying, "This is what we need to be doing," we see the issue through the eyes of a survivor, and that makes it all the more effective. It's mostly show and very little tell. And the movie is accessible to secular audiences. There's really only one scene that's exclusively Christian. It's when Hannah goes into a cathedral where a priest gives her some words of wisdom on forgiveness. Some may find the scene a bit preachy, but it is still quite moving. Now beware, this is the point where I'm going to get into a few spoilers. I have to give credit to the ending for subverting my expectations. Hannah does find her biological mother, but she denies knowing anything about her. She's angered that her mother rejected her again, but after having her heart-to-heart with the priest, she learns that the way to shed her burden is to let go. So she leaves a note in her mother's office with the simple message, "I forgive you." And instead of a conclusion that has them together again, Hannah's mother sees the note, breaks down into tears, and the movie leaves it at that. I feel that this is a realistically bittersweet conclusion. During the credits, however, is where the movie gets a bit more heavy-handed. We get a behind-the-scenes featurette where Sherry Rigby, who plays Hannah's biological mother, shares her testimony about how she had an abortion earlier in her life, but taking the role helped her find peace with herself and understand God's forgiveness. It's a nice story to hear, but it's rather out of place during the credits and would have been best saved for the DVD features. Overall, October Baby is much better than a lot of movies that Christian filmmakers have cranked out over the years. A few twists and turns along with solid acting and a touching story, despite some occasional flaws in how it tells it, it all adds up to a small but effective movie that I wouldn't mind watching again every once in a while. I'm going to give October Baby a 69%. And that concludes this mini review series of pro-life movies. I hope you'll stick around to see my review of Unplanned, which hits theaters this weekend. With it being PureFlix's first R-rated movie, it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. That's a wrap, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this review. Like if you liked, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture, I'm Alex Pop.